up on the agenda is credentialing and changes to SLEC membership, as well as automatic removal for absence. Secretary, if you want to say anything?
And John Wilford.
Present.
Stephen Harris.
Present.
Mary Johnson here. Kathy Biella. Kathy Biella. Madeline Krause. Madeline Krause. Stephen Hale.
Here.
Gary Ganya. Gary Ganya. Jennifer Payne. Jennifer Payne. Scott Ford. Scott Ford. DJ Howard. DJ Howard. Amy Brown.
Here.
Bill McKenzie. Bill McKenzie.
He's out.
Kathy Glass. Tom Glass. Here. Sean Jones.
Present.
Eric Van
I am here.
Liz LeBlanc. Liz LeBlanc. Renee Perez.
Here.
Jeffrey Adams. Here. Brian Bouffard. Brian Bouffard. John Holmes.
Here.
Bob Townsend.
Here.
George Reynolds.
Here.
Lee Sharp.
Yep.
David Turner.
Here.
Stephen Haskett. Stephen Haskett. Bill Kelsey. Bill Kelsey. Neil Johnson.
Here.
Carol Unsinger.
Yes.
Mike Dooley.
Present.
Kyle Russell.
Here.
Christopher Clements.
Sir.
Marion Young. Marion Young. Andrew Emily.
Here.
Real quick, has anyone ordered food? I think it may have arrived in the back.
Oh, yeah, no.
Anyone who waited a long time out there, I'm sorry. I have a cook out in the kitchen and the grill. I was waiting on you. It's been here for work here for about 2 hours. So I've been cooking and waiting tables and cooking and waiting tables, so I'm very sorry. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Y'all don't wait for me.
Mike Ryan.
Present.
Anthony Valdivia. Anthony Valdivia. Joanne Valdivia. Joanne Valdivia. Rick Hubbard. Rick Hubbard. Mark Lowy.
Here.
Eric Schaefer.
Here.
Joe Burns. Joe Burns.
He's gonna be here.
He's on premises.
Site, yeah.
National County when he gets here.
Madeline has arrived.
Ben Farmer. Ben Farmer. Tim Martinez. Tim Martinez. Chelsea Nickel.
Here.
Rickard Condon. Rickard Condon. Arthur Thomas.
Present.
Frank Lozano.
Present.
Teresa Regal. Teresa Regal. David Shaw.
Here.
Barry Hill.
Here.
Shannon Thomason. Shannon Thomason. Anastasia Wilbur.
Nine 52, that should be correct. Can we check if there were any removed for absence?
We did have a few walk in during the week. Hello down there, Andrew and Amy Brown.
She's number one.
Did you get Amy Brown? Bye.
So I count four. Gary Ganja. District 3. Jennifer Payne, also District 3. DJ Howard, District 4. And Joe N. Valdivia, District 19.
I'm gonna mark those on mine that we. 48. And what was our number, President?
Well, I had 31 present now, if you just want to add 3 people that.
34.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure I got the 3 read. Madeline Kraus, Bill McKenzie, and Joe Burns.
And Amy Brown.
Amy Brown.
That's D5.
Well, I had her as president.
Oh, cool.
Joe's here.
We got you, Joe.
All right, well, with that said, our body count is now 48, present 34. I do recognize the quorum. Step 1. Next up, adopt an agenda. I have proposed this current agenda. I don't know, it's fine. I know there may be some reports that we get to skip over later, but anyone wants to move this one or?
I can't read it, but is there anywhere on here who we talked about the lawsuit?
I was planning on doing that during my chair's report. Do we need a separate item that's more?
I think we do. I would put it 15 minutes and before the lunch break.
Before the lunch break, okay. Do you want to just take that out of the lunch or move everything down?
I'm flexible.
Let's take that out of lunch, we got almost 2 hours.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
15 minutes. Before lunch?
Okay, let me, go back to this way thing. Where is my thing? There we go, try to change. Right.
Are you on?
As a party, we love starting. Redirecting.
That look right? Cool. Okay.
Second.
And I'm going to recognize that you moved an agenda like this one, but with that change.
Change to those to remove the events department report.
Okay.
Just the requested by the
Is there any second to removing events department as requested by the director?
Just the report, not the department.
Is there any objection to this?
With extreme
Can that actually? Cool. Can I actually reduce that 15 minutes? I'm not gonna put a time right now, the times will be. I'm just gonna let the times update themselves, but effectively that will, yeah. All right, any other changes? Yes.
Do we anticipate an actual platform committee report from Carrie?
I have not heard from Carrie, so I don't see him here, so probably not. Do you move, motion to remove, is that what you're? Okay, second, any objection?
Objection. He might show up.
That was Vicky Lee that made the motion. I'm sorry? She's amending the motion on the floor. Oh, you're right, good point, I'm with you. Does anyone want to make the motion that Whitney suggested as a non-voting member?
I will make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Hill has moved that. I think I heard a second earlier. Yeah, I did. And there was objection, so, unless we want to go into debate, we can go to a quick vote on this one.
What was the objection?
That they may show up later and we could just decide that. You know, skipping is easy when it happens.
Unless there's any more debate, I see nobody.
It's my understanding that if we leave it on there and he doesn't show up, then we have to suspend the rules to skip that.
Not necessarily, no. So,
Can't we just add the time back at the end if he decides to show up and make our plans based on who's actually here?
I'm gonna real quick discuss what would happen if we left it on there and all that. So if we left it on there and he wasn't here, we could get to that item and decide there's nothing more in that item and move to dispense and move on with the agenda. It's a majority vote, and we'll close that item. So. All right. With that said, all in favor of removing the platform committee report by Mr. McKenna, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion fails. Or motion fails. All right. Any other changes? Any objection to the agenda as on the screen? I hear no objection. Agenda passes. We accept all changes. I will. Perfect. Okay. I'll move right along. Previous meetings minutes.
I uploaded the minutes, what, 4:46 a.m.? No, I don't know. You might get through those, but we just have the ones in the previous meeting.
Does anyone wish to make any motions with regard to either of those sets of minutes? I see no one seems to be recognized, so if there's no objection, we can move on to the next item. I hear no objection. All right. Officers report, chair's report. So I was actually planning on talking about some updates around the lawsuit, but it looks like at this time there is a separate item for this. I'm going to actually. Okay, cool. So with that said, I'll talk about projects that have been happening since then. We have pushed out through the operations department constitutional amendment rat cards. Those have been dispersed in most of the counties. I know there are some that still need to go out via mail. We've gotten labels together, and those should be hitting the mail soon to get to those last ones. This is a project that we have done in even numbered years. We do candidate rat cards, and odd numbered years we've done constitutional amendment rat cards. And I know they're impactful because I get calls whenever people don't see them. So somebody out there is paying attention and using them to vote. Kind of hard to measure exactly how many votes they get from year to year. But it's great advertising for the party. It also gets our activists active, which is always a good thing, and influences votes, which ultimately as a party is what we want to do. We also sent recently a letter out. This was kind of a joint effort between the party and West Benedict's Libertarian Booster PAC. The letter served dual purpose. It was meant to generate funds as well as recruit candidates, which is a little bit harder this year, as I'm sure everybody knows, due to recent changes in the law. The letter went out. There's a slight delay in our mail because the way our current mail system works, mail arrives at our office, is collected in batches weekly, and then it's forwarded to me to be sorted and dispersed. I know we have gotten back, do you remember, Anastasia, how many of those, I think 14 of these forms? 12 forms, people seeking to run for office, indicating varying levels of degree to which they'll be able to pay the filing fee, and some requesting financial assistance on that. I think the Libertarian Booster PAC is planning on helping where they can and where it's viable. I don't want to speak further to that because that's kind of their thing, but that is my understanding. And we did get some donations. Total project cost was, let me put this email, I have it here, from Wes. $2,000-ish, about there. And then Wes and Art DiBianca threw in about another $500 of their own money, with the hopes that this would generate revenue. And if it did generate revenue, ask graciously for SLEC to reimburse them their money. So far, the letters we received back, we received $400, which is not even close to our end of it. Hopefully, though, with the delay in the mail, that will continue to trickle in, and we will get there, but at this point, we have not. So that's that. Those are the main projects that I've been working on since then. I will take questions at this time, and
Mr. Chair, how many nominees or candidates for nomination do we actually have line of sight on at this point?
I can address that with candidate coordinators report.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
that would be a much better question for Mr. Brown. Any other questions for me? Hearing no questions, we can move on to the treasurer's report, which I am guessing is still me, because unfortunately, Ms. Vieja couldn't make it. Hopefully, people have had a chance to look over. I know it was uploaded kind of late. But I will go through some of the highlights real quick. So right now, we have about $44,000 in assets sitting in the bank. That's including our $10,000 reserve fund, which is separate in a separate bank account and requires higher threshold for spending. As you can see, donations are pretty low at this point. We are actually running at a deficit. Where are we? Numbers. Here we go. Actual. Right now we are running at about a $3,000 deficit for the year. And this was our past budget. On the expense side, we're sitting about $6,000 under on our expenses, what we expected. And income-wise, we're sitting about $9,000 under what we expected, which accounts for the $3,000 differential. With that in mind, there was discussion recently on what we should do over the budget. She's written a letter here, hopefully you get a chance to read it. But basically, with current operating expenses and basic services, if income this next year continues as it is, we'll run another deficit. Me and the treasurer are at disagreement on how we should feel about what the income will be this next year. It is my feeling that the convention alone should raise about $10K between donations and ticket sales, and that alone would more than make up for our deficit, so we should run a little bit above what our income was this year. It is her belief that we can't count on that because we have had other conventions that haven't done 10K. And so we should expect similar numbers to this year. I think there are merits to both arguments, and obviously you know which side I am because it's my argument. But based on that, the treasurer has recommended a extremely lean budget. So I can go through these numbers, but I'll just tell you basically what our thinking was. We took the 2019 budget, we duplicated it. We took 10% out of credit, 10% of the cost of our insurance, moved that from credit card fees up to insurance. Because the good news about donations being low is that donations are low, so are credit card fees. I guess that's a little silver lining here. But insurance premiums tend to go up year over year, so that just leaves a little buffer room, so if our premiums go up, we continue to buy our insurance. We put in operations a $500 discretionary fund in operations that is not expected to be used for projects or anything like that, but just in case any of these other categories goes up a little bit, we have a little $500 buffer that we can put there. She is then recommending the discretionary for every other department, including the events departments, which pays for these, to be zero. And with those changes, we balance the books. I'll tell you on the discussion, again, me and the treasurer have disagreed on this point. And I completely respect her opinion, and I respect her wanting to keep the books balanced. It is my opinion that if we zero out the discretionary on these items, especially things like development, which we use to send fundraising letters when we have people who are working to do it, not having money to make money kind of puts us in a rut. Not having money to fund a meeting kind of puts us in a rut. The other side of that is if we put money in those categories, we will be planning a deficit based on the treasurer's projections. So this body is going to have a hard decision to make on whether we want to go with this recommendation, redo the 2019 budget, or something in between. This is going to be addressed later on. I'm sorry? Please.
The hard decision, what's the deadline?
Today. Today. Whenever we do the budget. And that's after lunch, I do believe, so we will have some time. Yep, we will have some time to discuss and think over and bounce numbers off and during lunch. Anyway, so that's where we're going to have to find numbers. There's probably going to be another decision coming up. Over the past couple terms, what we have done is for the budget on a year in which there is a convention, there's two options on how to do this. One is we just pass, well, let me back up. Anything we pass today in a motion goes away at the start of the next convention. It's in our rules, except for our budget, which continues on until SLEC has a chance to meet. That's for our policy. At the first SLEC meeting, where SLEC addresses the budget, I believe is the wording, then the whole budget will go away and it'll be up to them to pass it. In more recent terms, what we have done is pass the budget for an entire year and kind of send it as a recommendation to the next body, since there will be a lot of new people who have never sat on this body, who don't necessarily know what the history is, that this is probably the budget y'all want to just re-up and continue on with. The other option that has been done further back is to just pass a budget that spans through till the convention, and then let the next body decide. I'm personally a fan of the year long, just to give them kind of a, hey, this is what you need to do, but I think there are merits to both arguments. So again, that'll be something else that needs to be decided. This proposal is based on an entire year.
Once the budget is set, they can change it if they wanted to, right? So if we went with the year long, they can come in and immediately go. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we just adopt it through the convention, we can blow all 18 grand in the first 3 months.
We could. Yeah, we could absolutely leave them strapped if we wanted to. Is that a motion? All right. So with that said, that's the gist of the treasurer's report, and I will field questions as what's best I can.
Nation building.
Yeah.
Do you think we're getting our money's worth? That's our biggest outlay by far, and I can see. We have it in Harris County, and I go back and forth, is it really worth what we're paying for?
Yeah, and that was actually an interesting discussion point when we were having the budget meeting on what we could cut. I guess to answer your question directly, and then I'll give a little more nuance to the answer. No, we are not. We are currently not getting our values worth of the money. I've said this before when this subject's come up. We absolutely could if we have people who work it. I know Andrew is wanting to utilize it. He's actually started reaching out to people. I've actually got emails where, hey, can you renew your credit card? Cross my fingers that pans out. Other people utilize. Well, it's a powerful tool. But no, at this point we are not. Here is kind of the catch-22 we find ourselves in with Nation Builder. Nation Builder is our website. Nation Builder is our data management tool. It's where we keep our records on a whole lot of things, not just our members, but we keep county chair records. We use it to send emails to blast people. It's a lot of systems. We could absolutely replicate those systems for near free. It would not be done nearly as well but it would be workable depending on whether we go all the way to using Excel sheets or, you know, a paid service in the middle. Getting all that data out and transferring that data into those other systems is a huge project. Getting Nation Builder up and running was a huge project. It took me and Kurt months to get it done. Right now, I don't know who's going to do that project. So if we sat there and said, cut out Nation Builder, that's fine. Our options are to dump all our data into an Excel sheet and just, I don't know, not have a website and not have, you know, those other things. Or to do the work to transfer everything over, but then we have to ask who and when is that going to happen. So I agree with you. I just don't know what the good solution is.
That's like Hotel California.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I answer that? There's also an in-between. I mean, Nation Builder isn't just one set fee. So if we get some time and will to take some of the things out that they charge per person on, we can significantly change the cost. But one of the big things that affects cost is the number of people in the database, which is what's going on with the Vault project. And so there's just a lot of moving parts. And Nation Builder is a big, expensive, but constantly moving target. So can it be done more efficiently? Yes. Do people want to do it more efficiently? Yes. But there are a lot of moving parts in the middle of it to get that more efficient. And some of us have jobs.
Yeah.
So it's not trivial.
Yeah, well, and you know, an interesting thing that Nation Builder does, that's a double-edged sword, is Nation Builder goes out to all our assets and sucks in everyone's data. Whenever we brought new people into the system, we recently got Becca in order to facilitate getting stuff up for the convention so we could start selling tickets. She was like, I don't have a Nation Builder account. I was like, you're wrong. Nation Builder has sucked in your Twitter, your Facebook. You have an account. You just don't know you have an account. And that's a lot of really powerful data if we're utilizing it that we have. The problem is because it's sucking everything, it's also sucking in spam bots. A spam bot is a record just like Becca Congdon is a record. One of those has worked to us, and one of them doesn't, but they both cost us the same thing on the billing side. So another way to reduce our costs is to go in there and clean up data that is not useful to us, but again, who, when, and where, you know, is that going to happen?
So the cost increases, we have more contacts in the system. For now, since we're not truly utilizing it all, is there a way to shut that off so that it's just not increasing our contacts?
So the only way to shut that off, and it is possible, is to disconnect it from all the places connected to. So disconnect it from Facebook. We couldn't really disconnect it from the email without like just not sending email blasts anymore. That to some extent is kind of hardwired in.
I just meant the collection stuff.
Yeah, we can't completely, but we can slow it way down if we wanted to. Yeah.
So with respect, $250 a month for that much software is peanuts. You can't run a state this size with anything less than what's sitting in Nation Builder. This is not a discussion we should be having.
The tool just needs to be, we just need to get some people to leverage that tool. That's what I'm using on my campaign, and it's been fantastic.
I think that would be optimal.
And the last, you know, if we attempt to dump that kind of code capability on our current volunteer staff and on top of their current activities, I just don't see that being a great use of our you know, volunteers' time.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Amline, please.
I was just going to mention in the for what it's worth department that the development department is currently, you know, as we speak, trading emails talking about utilizing the Nation Builder data to reach out to members, former members, whatever, and in the process of that, doing what we can to clean up the data as we hit, you know, unreachable people, spam bots, people who rage quit the party for some reason and don't want to hear from us again. So we'll have something to do with that, what we can do with volunteer labor over the next few months. And I'm looking at a text from Jenny Simmons back there who's volunteering to assist with that project. So I may be able to bring some specific volunteer labor into that, as well as the various fundraising coordinators.
Ms. Wilford?
As the person here who has worth it for everything that it can do. I definitely agree with Neil. We can't effectively run this party without a tool like this at least. But people are kind of scared to use it. They get in there and they're intimidated by it, and it's impossible to get anybody, with a few exceptions, to get in there and actually utilize it. And if we can't get people actually using it, then we are just wasting our money.
The little addendum is that Jenny and I are already collaborating on, looking at Washington County specifically, looking at the number of records we have there, people I didn't know were in Washington County that were interested in the Libertarian Party. And plan is, if we were able to, I'm waiting until we have something productive to talk about, what we did instead of what we're gonna do. But since we're talking about it, the objective is to see what we can do to make Washington County use the software and then replicate that as part of the development process to do like a training, or here's what we did for other county chairs, and here's what it worked for us, and hopefully there'll be some data behind that, like here's how many members we added, and here's how much money we raised, or something like that.
Mr. Burns?
To this end, I'm actively involved in national, and I've talked to a lot of people about nation builder, but I haven't quite dug into this topic, so I'm not educated on it. But I understand that there's a lot of complaints about nation builder's abilities, and there are other systems out there better than that, but that they cannot survive without a system like it. Whatever you do, you've got to have one. I mean, if it's a decision between either having nation builder or having nothing, I mean, don't throw away your horse when you have an engine.
Yeah, and on that topic, there's actually an interesting cost area we find ourselves in. There are other systems that don't charge per record, that actually do the job better, that are way more expensive than Nation Builder. If we had 10 million records, those systems would be cheaper than Nation Builder. Nation Builder kind of runs on a curve that passes those systems at some point. However, seeing as we don't have 10 million records, this is actually, as far as I'm aware, the cheapest system we can find for the size we have. And with us talking about budget now and the cost around this, we can't at this point anyway jump to one of those systems. So this is kind of the price point we're at. It's not the Lamborghini we want, but it gets us from A to B, you know?
It's the Toyota we need.
Yeah. So that's kind of a weird place we find ourselves. Love-hate relationship with Nation Builder right now.
Don't knock our Vega.
With that said, we kind of got into a relevant but niche discussion about Nation Builder. Are there any more questions around the Treasurer's report that anyone wishes to ask me?
Could I ask about the credit card processing fees? I know that I guess those really hit me because they seem really excessive. Is that mostly from the recurring donations that people have set up? If that's true, then that means 27% of my recurring donation is going to some bank somewhere instead of part of it.
Yeah, so this last time, our actual spend was $2,700, and our donations were $15,000. Doing the math on that.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. Is it from all donations, or is it mostly from the recurring donations?
All of it, yeah.
Okay, so it's smaller, but it's still a significant amount.
Yeah, and the way the credit card processing fees work, it's a base plus percentage. So when you donate $5, the percentage of your money that goes to that bank is much higher than if you donate $100. Just the kind of way of things. So if we have a bunch of small donations, if we, I'll use the term, if we Bernie Sanders our money, the bank takes a much higher cut than if we have a much more traditional donation structure with a very small amount of, well-to-do supporters making large donations. So that's kind of.
To that end, have we bid out our processing? Or
No.
put out request for bids?
Yeah, well, since when? I think the last time was when Milena was treasurer. I don't think we have done it.
Because that market's pretty competitive.
Have we?
I thought somebody did like at the beginning of this term.
Yeah, I kind of remember something like that too.
Yeah.
Maybe we did.
The last time we were passing the budget.
This is her.
I just want to say, I agree that number looks insanely high. Like, if we were using PayPal to process credit card transactions, I don't think it would be anywhere near that.
Oh, wait.
Are you serious? 'Cause-
Yeah, we
'cause
use
it, and it's like, what's it, 1.5 plus the 2%? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That number just seems shocking.
Who are we using to process that?
Authorize.net for 98% of it. There's a few little weird things here and there, but 98% is authorized.
What, do we have a number percentage-wise what it comes to? Well, because like you say, it's determined by the base plus percent. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is what is our actual percent? The effective percentage.
We can do some quick math on this. We can also look at the statements and kind of dig some numbers. Other than just a quick division here that I can do with a hand calculator.
I mean, I
don't
know
have
that
the-
these companies that do this kind of thing, if you can hand them a year's worth of data, they can pretty much tell you exactly what your cost will be through them. So it's pretty easy to do an RFP and determine if we should go with a new guy or not.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty simple decision in that it's not a complicated thing, and either it's math.
Well, and one option that has been presented to us, and I have sent emails to the treasurer asking her if she would look into it and kind of make a decision, because it would also simplify a few other things, but again, we're kind of getting back to Hotel California here. Nation Builder has partnered with Credit Card Processor to integrate everything into Nation Builder, so we just sign up and say, hey, Nation Builder do this, and we're not sending it to a third party. It actually gets us better data collection because they can see things a lot better. And it seemed that the fees would be a little bit lower, but that is not something I feel comfortable just doing unilaterally until the treasurer has looked at it and agreed, and unfortunately that. Yeah.
Where can we take a deep dive into the number? I mean, I'm having a degree in accounting, I'm really comfortable with what I'm looking at there. I'd like to see everything.
Yeah, I can download those reports from Authorize.net. I have a login. I can send it to you, and you can dig in if you want. I really see no issue with that.
Okay.
I could even just put them on Ignite, and anyone could, crowdsource it to SLEC.
There you go.
So, but yeah, that can be done. Anything else?
Who's Nation Builder's partner, credit card partner?
Don't remember off the top of my head. I've got a few emails.
Real quick question. The proposed budget, we'll talk about budget later, but the proposed budget zeroing out the different departments. If the body feels like development needs money down the line, what would be the thresholds and just a reminder to the body what it would take to go outside of budget if like a special project came up?
They would have to authorize it with the majority of the entire body. So the same threshold that's used for forum votes. But
So 50%.
well,
So a
most
simple
votes,
majority?
most votes are a majority of the people present. Anything authorizing funds is a majority of everybody on the body. So it's a little bit higher, but not super higher. Anyone else? Okay, with that said, let's move on. And okay, we're ahead of time. Political action. Ted?
Yes.
I think you were wanting to give a report, and I know Eric is here.
Yes.
You want to do that, and while you're here, if you want to take these.
Oh, yes.
Otherwise, I'll forget later, and you won't like it.
Very much want to take a look at those. Yes, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, so, as the candidate coordinator, I've been trying to coordinate candidates. And this is very helpful right here. And basically, as you know, the situation of the filing fees has really cut down on the number of people that are willing to run. But you'd be surprised, there are actually about a dozen people who are already willing to, like, pay up $3,125 to run for Congress. And if I don't know about you, and you are one of those, please tell me. And again, it's also a matter of, if anybody is spending that much, they also really can just loan that to their campaign and actually try to raise the money over the next course of the year as part of their campaign. It's not like you have to be out that amount. And I mentioned that to some people, but you really do have to have it up front in order to make the payment by December 9th. So currently, I know about 26 candidates, about a dozen for Congress, including carrying a candidate for U.S. Senate. And I'm so glad that he stepped forward to do that. I'm pleased to see that he's raising money quite publicly. He's raising about a third of his filing fee, which is $5,000. The big kahuna of the filing fees is the $5,000 for the U.S. Senate. But we do need other statewide candidates, though, who also would need to spend a few bucks. That would be a railroad commissioner candidate and some Supreme Court and Court of Appeals candidates. Maybe at least one for each of the courts, hopefully, and the railroad commissioner. I did have someone interested in railroad, and I said, well, what would be your platform for that office? And the person didn't even know what the railroad commissioner did. So I want to make sure somebody actually run and does something about the position. But again, we also have to pay $3,750. There's also about 10 people I know about the State House, which is only $750, so that one should be a little bit easier. And then Kathy mentioned the chief, we'll give you the names of a few other Harris County people for those positions as well. And I have, there are other 3 other large counties, Behar, Tarrant, and Dallas are recruiting their own candidates. I haven't heard back from some of them yet.
It's fair.
Bayer, okay. Sorry.
Speak for Dallas, Bayer.
So, how to get off the back series, so, that's that away there. I'll learn to time it now. So those folks are recruiting. There's candidates from one of the smaller counties that I've talked to. There's even a couple of sheriff candidates in a couple of small counties. I don't know what their platform is exactly. A couple of people are interested in county commissioner in one of the small county, one of the large county. And I think I gave Steve the name of someone who applied in Williamson, a really young guy who was too young to even run for the State House. And so please let me know if you or anybody in your area is planning on running. And what John mentioned about the booster pack, West Benedict is involved in that. He and Art Labianca and some others have this pack. Right now they're working on Virginia House races, because Virginia is actually having an odd off-year election. Well, it's not odd for them, but it's odd for most of the country. They, like 3 or 4 states, have elections this odd year for their state offices, and there's a number of libertarian candidates in Virginia, and he's been focusing on that. As soon as the election's held there in a couple of weeks, then there'll be a concentration on Texas, and getting hopefully some funding for some of the state house candidates, but also services such as websites, literature, that sort of thing to help out the state candidates. And Wes was also going to be involved in helping the state candidates with Texas Ethics Commission filings and things like that for their campaigns. I, on the other hand, am concentrating on congressional, and I'll get some FEC information out. But again, it's easier for federal because unless you raise or spend more than $5,000, you don't have to start filing paperwork with the FEC. So the filing fee is not enough to trigger that to start with, at least. So maybe there's like a few months lag time for a few of the federal candidates. Yes, Mark.
Does the $3,125 filing fee for Congress count towards the $5,000?
Yes.
FEC limit?
So definitely keep track of your expenditures there, your receipts. The letter that John mentioned, that is what Wes and I were involved in that, getting a letter out to 2,000 national and state LP members and contributors. I think the criteria was people in the last 2 years who had some contact with the national or state parties based on the databases. And I'm hoping for more of a result on that. $400 coming back is not very high, but then again, the letter was mostly concentrating on candidate recruitment, and the form for the contributions is kind of on the back of the candidate form. But now, how many people received the letter? Okay, that means a few of you have not contributed to the LP of Texas and the national LP over the last couple of years. But anyway.
Give it a rest.
know, because the difference is, of course, you're paying to come to the meetings and everything, and the folks that are just sitting on in the database that don't do that, obviously, we want to some contributions from them. But hopefully, I'm going to read through these. I only actually received one of these forms sent by scan, which I was expecting more of them. I was worried, wow, one person responded, at least they mailed it in. And hopefully, it's the lag time of getting to the, first of all, the mailing is done from California. We use the printer mailing house that I used to use for the California LPs. It's an LP member who gives discounts to the party, and he's very good. And he got those out. There was a delay in the delivery. It has to come from California to Texas, the whole mailing. But then, once they start getting delivered, then there's a lag time of people responding, mailing into the office, and then the mailing service mailing it over to John. So hopefully we're going to get A, more candidates, and B, more than $400, because usually, as Wes pointed out, as I saw in California, most mailings usually make profit. And I would very much apologize if this one doesn't, because $2,000 expenditure, which $1,500 from the party, and I'm sure we're going to get more than 400. But one thing I found in California was that usually there's like one or two people who give way more, like a large contribution, sort of pushes it over the top. So hopefully we'll have some Texans that will be in that category, that will boost it up over the profit margin. But again, I don't have any experience previously with Texas fundraising, so I'm not sure how previous letters have done on raising money for Texas libertarians. Let's see, are there any other questions about?
I have a statement.
Yes.
I would also say, not only if you are interested in running for office, should you contact Mr. Brown, but if you are a philanthropist who would like to see more people run for office, but you find you just don't have the time to do it yourself, please contact him, and he can get you in contact with the appropriate channels to either generally donate toward the effort, or he may even match you up with candidates that he thinks will align well with your views that you can sponsor directly to make sure that these people who do have the time can run.
Yeah, and also if you know of anyone who wants to work on a campaign, like hey, a campaign treasurer could become very important because there's so much paperwork to fill out for a lot of the candidates. If you want to be a treasurer or a campaign manager or a webmaster, or if anyone can help out on the campaign, that's certainly welcome as well. Yeah, I should note a lot of interesting people have contacted the party about running and then sort of get run away with the filing fee. I even talked to a Hugo award-winning science fiction writer that I wish we could run, but no, so no 3,125. So it's sad that this is like coming upon us for this election. I bet we'd have like a pile of candidates if we had a following situation. Okay, any other questions? All right. Oh,
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of talk about the filing fees, and there's a lot of discussion online, and I know that the people who wrote the rules don't even understand them at this point. But the alternative to paying the filing fee is X number of signatures.
Yes.
What sort of investigation has been? Have we looked into those requirements and like done a cost-benefit analysis to how much is it going to cost to get these signatures and all of that kind of fun stuff?
Well, I've seen two of those. First, there's one candidate in Williamson County that's going to say he was going to try to collect all the signatures himself to run for. I don't think he's going to make it, but hopefully he'll pay instead. He could if he wanted to, so we'll see what happens with that. I have not even seen what the petitions look like, but someone in Brazos did a cost-benefit analysis, and this was implying that, well, why don't we just pay somebody to go out and collect signatures? We should be doing it to someone who's like an entrepreneur instead of giving money to the state, which makes sense from a libertarian point of view. But if I was going to run and spend the money, I want to slam dunk. I want to make sure if I'm getting on the ballot, and I'm not going to risk the invalidation of the signatures. And that's a problem because I'm not even sure how they would check the signatures, because there's also the situation you have to tell the signer they can't vote in the primary. And then, what would happen if they did vote in the primary? Is there a record kept? Are they going to be like arrested? I mean, Texas is really tough on some of these election law
Because we have to pay the fee before they vote in the primary, so like any of that can be invalidated post facto.
Exactly. So it's really better to pay probably, but unfortunately. unfortunately, you pay the state and make sure that you're on the ballot if you're spending all that money.
I do think rule of thumb is you need about twice as many signatures as it's actually required, because the state will find reasons not dotted i's, crossed t's. And I do know I have a college professor and a high school professor that have come to me in like the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to do talks at a couple of their classrooms. And I know they have offered to let the kids help with some of that stuff, if, and them get extra credit as a way. So I don't know, I mean, like I'm my county chair, but I know, and it would be something more county chairs would have to do, but I think it would be I was planning on doing it signatures and pay it, because I was going to use going door to door for signatures as a way to make people aware that the shenanigans have happened, kind of not expecting that that was going to be my criteria going ahead and having to pay the fee. But I do think that it's a great excuse to go to somebody's door and go, hey, you know your options are being taken away, right? And seeing as there's so many people that are pissed off at both sides, it seems like a really, like I said, if we can get a gaggle of kids in all of these groups to do that, it's free labor. You know, who doesn't like child labor? Everybody knows libertarians hate children, child labor, and old people, so you might as well use them.
You have a coal mine, down there. But that's right. Actually, in California, there was one professor that actually would give extra credit for the kids working on the campaign, and I sent them out to collect signatures. But back there, we had the benefit of people registered by party, and we knew who libertarians were. So that was always a friendly bunch to go to. Now, oh my God, you're going to be fined, and you go to their door now. But there are, obviously, you can get lists of registered voters, so you can only go to the houses with registered voters. You might be able to even find out the database shows that if they did not vote in the primary last time, that might be a good indication they aren't going to vote in the primary this time, and say, oh, this is our primo group to sign. But that's really the only way to do it if you're doing signatures. You can't just stand in a supermarket, especially with how stupidly these districts are drawn. You wouldn't even know people don't even know what district they're in. Unless you're in like the middle of a really big geographical area, then you might be able to do that. Yes?
I just want to, when I voted early at Harris County, there was a Democrat petition for a judicial candidate, but the way the law was written, I said I can't sign as much as I wanted to, but I said because I participated in a primary or a convention party, and they looked at me like dazed and confused, like that was news to them.
They're just Democrats and Republicans and their rules, mostly,
To your point about block walking and having the information, that's what Vault is designed for. And Vault now has given Harris County that data, and we have it. So we can use it for that purpose.
So it shows you who would vote in the primary or the general election or whatever. That's good. That's actually good work. Otherwise, again, unless you're going to an actual voter that you know is a voter, I wouldn't even bother.
Right. And that's why we accelerated our request to Vault for getting the information.
Good, excellent.
Of course, if you go to people that have never voted and never vote, you know they can sign and they won't be disqualified.
Exactly. the least active voters. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Just wanted to let the body know that we were there at the Texas Marijuana Policy Conference in Austin for Labor Day weekend, and it had grown 2-3 times what it was last year. And the amount of engagement, especially the entrepreneurial aspect, was really inspiring. That's the tack that they're taking in terms of growing awareness, to get people to turn out, to contact their legislatures, to open up the avenues of capitalism as far as hemp and cannabis go. There's also a group of it's a newer group of Texas marijuana veterans that want to have events at some of the representatives of the State House that opposed the cannabis laws that we tried to pass over the spring, and there may be an opportunity for candidates in those districts to participate in those events. Basically, what they want to do is have a debate on those constituencies, with their constituents. Sounds like a pretty exciting idea. I'm still in contact with them to find out, nail down dates and places that pretty interesting prospect to especially give exposure for our platform and for our candidates.
All right, with that said, next up is IT, Mr. Sharp.
Squeeze, please. Hi. So a little while ago, I became IT director. Great coffee role because I know you can clean everything up and make it more efficient. And found out that the IT department of the Libertarian Party is a lot like the Libertarian Party. There are a lot of things that when I was looking at them, up on the board, we can do a lot better than that. And then I found out the reasons they're in place. And there's some things that we're paying for on the books, but we're not really paying for because we already paid something and then we got a credit that we have to burn through before we can leave. There's a whole bunch of things. But I did find a couple of things that were potentials for savings, but they have a substantial cost to risk. And so I just kind of wanted to make an informal poll of the body. This is non-binding, it's just, there are some people that have expressed an interest in donating services, space, things like that. They could save us a little bit of money. If, do you still have the treasurer's report available? That last page you were just on, you should be able to just page back to it, right? Maybe? Yeah. For example, the $500 in data storage backup. Backup, yeah. Backup can be done there, can be done elsewhere, and it's not necessarily a critical service. But if just a member of the Libertarian Party says, "Yeah, I'll donate backup," and then they get in touch with Libertarians and they're called, evil conservative Republican, and they leave, then our backups leave with them. So how does the body feel about individuals that are active in the party donating server space, services, hosting, anything like that? Is that something we're comfortable with, or no, we want to pay money because we don't know if these people are crazy and they're going to take off? So can I just get an informal poll of who thinks, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I would say that have a stipulation that if you choose to leave the party, you have to surrender the data back to the party. Because that should be in there.
Doesn't mean it work.
Yeah, I don't know. One of my worst things that I was involved, the IT guy ran away with our data and like a ransom to get it back.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to doing those types of things, but wouldn't you be able to set it up to where these people have a backup schedule on a regular basis? So if they did paya,
well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to just go, okay, well, you got it.
Right.
I pay attention, but just like at one point I was talking about using some donated hardware that we could get and set up our own hosting for some of our services. And there were justified concerns of, what happens when this old crap breaks because they're donating it for a reason and it's not because they like it. What are our costs going to be if it goes into a colo facility? I mean, there are lots of questions there. So before I analyze that, I want to kind of just get a feel for the body's feeling on that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, John, you want to first?
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
So
I don't have eyes here.
So I just want to give kind of my 2 cents on the issue. There are people who have been on this body a long time, and there are some who are newer and in the middle. IT within this party has been our coming savior and our downfall for a long time. One of the biggest problems we've had with IT is I have heard, as long as I've been in the party, and I've heard people have been hearing for as long as they've been in the party, that the thing that is going to win the presidency for the Libertarian Party next year is the new IT innovation that was made on the internet, the new social media platform, the new database, the new whatever. And what has tended to happen is I hear all the time that libertarians are a tech-savvy bunch, and that we can just do all this stuff ourselves, or we're great at posting on Facebook, all these things. And we get into these projects. We get into Libertas. Libertas was a project that was basically free vault. We were going to build our own database to manage records. It was going to be kind of a mixture of what Vault's doing and Nation Builder is doing now. And we were going to have all this data, and we're going to pay for it once, and then we would just own it. It would be a server side. And it was run on a national level by some libertarians who were from various states and were leadership in that state. They came through. They were going to make a deal with Texas. We were going to help pay for the first thing, but it was going to be cheaper on the back end. So they were going to sell it to other states. There was this whole wheeling and dealing going on. And what basically happened was the project got partly done. There was a dispute between the groups who were involved. They split up, and one group took their money and left, and the other group said, well, we'll finish this out. They got most of the way done, and they said, yeah, we can't pull this off. We can't do it. We got a little bit of our money back, but not all of it, and we were left with a pile of data and no service. That is not an isolated incident within this party. And it is the reason every time I hear someone say, we can build it ourselves, I cringe. Because that's all good. Maybe you're capable, maybe you're willing. Maybe you are the most dedicated libertarian in the state of Texas. But you're not immortal. And eventually, you will have to either perpetually replace yourself, and they will have to replace themselves, or we won't have that person. We'll be right back at square one. When we pay a corporation to do it, the corporation has a lot more longevity, and we have legal ownership of it. We have a claim where if our data leaks, we can go file a grievance to get our data back. Volunteers don't have that. And even if we did try to sue them, you can't get blood from a turnip. So I completely agree with Mr. Sharp that there is cost savings to be made here. But I think the risk is exceptionally high, and that is why I'm against us doing this first.
So I guess you know where the objection came from. And to be clear, cost savings is kind of a misnomer. It's cost transfer. We're trading cash costs for risk costs. Because risk is cost. And,
I'd be in favor. I'm an IT director, so I could volunteer, at least what I know, the vendors that I know can do a cost-benefit analysis and I can help you because we're in the same town. At least I can, we can have somebody bounce right his off of, we can look at alternatives, get a better picture of the global market.
Well, how many different people have volunteered to do the data storage bank? Because if you have a bunch of different people, you kind of diversify the risk. So not all of them will fall out.
well, yeah, except then you have to have multiple copies of data and you end up with version questions and who has, you get a mess.
So you can say just one person backing it up.
And if you have multiple people backing it up, are they backing it up at the same time? Who has the correct version? Who has the last version? Are these versions consistent? So yeah, frankly, if I can't find one person that I trust for the backup, then two people that I don't trust is going to be bad.
Okay, so the proposal is just one entity.
Yeah, and this is real early tire kicking stage. It's just some people have expressed an interest, and then, but before I pursued it, I wanted to see where we're going. Tom, please do it.
I did an IT career too, and I did it with one of the world's largest corporations, who had, of course, the resources to go do it right. But one of the things that we, in our IT department, is we would not let somebody just develop something and then be on their own, and that one person, everybody depended on, because the corporation's attitude was, okay, if you die tomorrow or you decide to resign tomorrow, we're going to be up free. everything had to be documented, it had to be, transferable, there had to be backups, there had to be training, all that sort of stuff. And I'm persuaded that that is the proper way to do things. And when you start going to one person in an organization, at least at Exxon, we were paying their salary, right? Here, we would be doing it with a volunteer, which is even a higher risk. And so, in my opinion, whatever amount of time would be used to do this backup stuff would be better spent getting on the phone and calling and asking people to donate money to do a professional service.
And just to address that, I'm also huge on documentation. I'm huge on making sure that I'm replaceable if I get hit by a bus, because I run a motorcycle, I have been hit by a bus. And for the record, a Ford Taurus is an ugly car from every angle, including directly overhead. I'm a big fan of documentation. I'm a big fan of making sure that you have disaster recovery and there are no key players that can destroy your business. And I'm a big fan for Hotel California exit plans. And if someone is suggesting something and I don't see a way to get the data back out, I don't like going for it. Just to address that concern. Because yeah, it's absolutely valid and this is important stuff to us. Were there?
I mean, what's your title, IT director? Or,
yeah.
Okay, and I presume you've got that because obviously you've got an IT background, right?
Yes.
And I understand that you want to ask all of us how you ought to do your job, or what our opinion is how you ought to do your job. I'm just going to say that I'm going to defer, and I think we all should defer to those people like you who were appointed to do this job and trust and rely on your expertise. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to milk a cow if I'm not an accountant.
Well, to address that concern, I'm an IT consultant. I'm an independent consultant, and so usually I come to a job after the guy was hit by a bus. And, and I clean up messes, I clean up problems, I come in on the customer's worst day and help fix these things. But when I'm making some major decisions, I always go to the customer, okay, we have two major options here. And this was just a poll of, are we comfortable with volunteers that, that are just members providing donated services? And this is, like I said, non-binding, I'm just trying to get a feel. So can I just get a show of hands? Question.
What does data security look like in that scenario?
That's a really good question. And there's some good options on that. Depending on how we're transferring the data and doing the data, we can do backups onto somebody's equipment, and they would not have access to that data.
We're going to be on servers and Hillary's map.
And encrypted with ROT 13.
The servers are in Ukraine.
And for the people who don't know, ROT 13 is just alternating letters by 13 characters. And so it's not secure.
I just want to put a different spin maybe on Joe's observation, which is that I don't know that this is an up-down deal from my point of view. Whether I would trust or approve of or whatever you're asking for, like in a particular situation, would depend on factors that have to be nailed down to that situation. And I trust your judgment to figure out those factors. So if you brought a recommendation that I think in this case, under these circumstances, with this agreement, we can use this guy, I would defer to that. And if you're not comfortable with it, I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah, and what I'm asking for is just a general poll. I don't have anybody specifically in mind, but if I ask how many people are comfortable with volunteers providing services, and 2 people raise their hand, I won't bother looking into it because I got other things I can do.
If you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it.
So can I ask real quick, show of hands, how many people are comfortable with volunteers providing services to the party of internal data? Just
volunteers that you vetted.
Yeah, that I vetted, and this is, and I'll bring projects directly, not this is for everything. It's like, hey, got a guy willing to provide this, how do y'all feel? And you can vote on that. This is just, do you want me to pursue it or not? So how many people are comfortable with me pursuing volunteers providing services? And how many people are not? Well, I would say that we want to pay for services, so I'll go with that. Yeah.
I just want to point out that everybody in this room is actually a volunteer who is expected to provide services, and some of that does include secure data. Yet you trust yourselves and you clearly trust each other, so why doesn't that extend beyond just the?
You're being very.
Watch it happen all the time.
Because we hold ourselves.
And we watch it happen. Yes, that's right, it's accountability, so the responsibility is on the organization to hold people accountable. Thank you for what you're doing.
Next. One of my pet projects, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is I wanted to do a candidate in a box program, which was if you sign up in Texas to run for anything, you get a website, you get an email address, just automatically. Maybe you get a phone number, depending on what we can do. That we set up a negotiated rate with people who print signs. We set up a negotiated rate with people who accept donations. And then we just put all this in one neat little box, and you sign up, and you're approved. And at the end of the convention, we go, here you are, give us this. Now, we were just talking about donated stuff and the people doing it. Right now, I'm going to do this anyway, and there's no money involved. And then when it's put together, there will be a regular cost, but the regular cost is so low that SLEC didn't give me any money. I could almost afford it just out of your money. But what I do need is some assistance on this. Specifically, my creativity is zero. I'm a technical guy, and I can make websites, and they're the ugliest thing you'll ever see. So if anybody knows anybody that wants to help with building websites, and this isn't just WordPress, this is putting something together that can actively take pages so that people can just dump content as a text file and can appear on the web page as a page, I could use the help.
Do you know Kara Schultz at National?
No.
We were pushing for a long time, and we finally got this at National, and she's basically a candidate support individual. So if you get into that, you want to help a candidate go with this candidate box idea, not just with IT, but with everything. So I'll hook you up with her. She's going to be a good resource for you. And then the second resource, Open Source Liberty. It's a Facebook group online, but it's all libertarian activists that are in a database of what their skill sets are. And you can approach this group and say, this is something I need help with. And you can quickly find people that will be able to help you do exactly what you're wanting to achieve.
Cool.
So just
I want
two sources.
Yeah. And by the way, as far as money goes, I'm going to put it together first and then come to you and say, hey, here's your expected cost for the year. And the only way those costs would go up is if so many people are hammering the websites that it increases that bill a bit, which is probably a good thing. But since we no longer have discretionary funds, these will be projects that when I put it together, okay, say, hey, we have this now. It would be awfully nice to have this money, and what we need 50% of the body or 50% of the people that are here to.
50% of the entire body.
So that's the way I'm looking at funding it as a project. So, like I said, anybody who can do web development, it's fun. Any questions on that? Well, then that pretty much covers everything I wanted to present. Are there any questions about IT just in general? Why haven't you done this, you lazy bastard?
When we send an email, what's the email address for IT?
I think it's IT and
I think that forward works, yeah, and then there's my name.
Where does that go to?
And if you go to lptech.org, you can see, the departments, and my picture's there, and my email. I think IT would be, right now, I think it's going to me and Liz and maybe Randy. I'm not sure, I'd have to double check.
It is going to, I will tell you real quick. It is IT at lptech.org. It is going to Bo, Liz, Lee, John Crossan, and Anastasia, because she was on there for a while when we didn't have an IT director. I will ask the IT director to take this email.
Hey, can I borrow your costume, honey?
The reason I ask it is kind of a side thing, but there's a quite glaring spelling error on our website that I sent a screen cap in through
That's another interesting thing I found out. The website isn't actually under IT, because the website is on Nation Builder. And so the website is under, what's its title? Communications.
It's on our list of county charged.
So, so the website, anything on the website, goes to communications and I think communications at optexas.org.
No, I think it's still PR because we
PR.
changed the name. I don't. Anyway, it is on the website though.
Well, we can get numbers to it and they can get it. But, so that's one of the other options. Vault, while it's technically under IT, is a totally separate project. So I kind of hear things about it, but I don't really have control over it, and they're running on their own with that, and I'm okay with that because I got enough mess to deal with. I still haven't updated the Word with that HTTPS yet, so I'm getting on that. I've actually tested it a couple of times. That's why it's not updated. Anything else?
Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
All right, up next we have a lawsuit discussion. I'm sure there'll be questions, but before we start, I do have a few updates that have come up in the last week that I have not put on the forum yet. And actually one from a little bit further back. It's not directly related to the party, but good to know. So here, 2 or 3 weeks back, I was asked to sign a statement that was a compilation of facts that had been submitted to Oliver over a course of time. Basically that we're running a deficit on our finances right now. We have X amount of dollars. We can't afford to just pay for these candidates' fees. I have a true belief that we will have less candidates because the fees exist. Here's our historical candidates. And I believe that this filing fee is, I think it's not, I don't remember the exact language he was using. Anyway, pretty non-controversial statements. I was asked to sign, not as the party, but as myself, that I believe these to be true, to be submitted to the courts. Read over it, got a few details where I was like, these numbers are a little off. Got it all settled, signed it, scanned it, sent it back to Oliver. And he has sent me an email last week saying that he has filed and there's a scheduled hearing on the motion for preliminary injunction on October 31st. So
Halloween.
yeah,
That's scary.
Thursday. In Washington D.C. In Austin, Texas, at courtroom number 4 on the 5th floor. And if anyone wants to attend, they can go attend the hearing. There's no one that has necessarily been requested to be there as a witness. All the witness statements have been signed. I know other witness statements have been presented by people who have run for office or would run for office. It's not just me. And we have also received back the opposition motion that was received yesterday. So I haven't even had a chance to read it yet, but it exists. And so those are the updates I have so far. It sounds like we will have something soon. Just real quick, just on a personal note, I know that these injunctions and maybe some of the lawyers in the group can confirm my belief are a really high bar, and it's probably not a high chance right now, but I'm hoping that this happens.
Not a high chance of getting the injunction to stop the fees in time.
Right.
By December, what is it, 4th?
December
9th.
I updated both of those motions for the fire injunction and the response from the Secretary of State on the lawsuit. Right that you started. So y'all can take the lead.
I wish to advise everyone that this week, we filed a lawsuit in Harris County, in state court, to stop for injunction, temporary injunction and permanent injunction, 7 individual plaintiffs. And Secretary of State was, and the other 2 defendants were served, have been served. And I'll be glad to take questions, a certain amount of questions, but I think we have a high degree of being circumspect over this.
Did you say the Harris County Libertarian Party filed this lawsuit?
No.
Okay, who filed it?
An attorney on behalf of 7 individuals,
Seven individuals.
including Neil Diamond.
And Scott Ford.
So, and maybe I'm not being clear on this. So what you're saying is this is a secondary lawsuit that is also filing an injunction with the Secretary of State, and is that an injunction on the filing fees in general or for just these individuals? How?
It is, and over lunch, I'll be glad to go into more detail. But we have to be very clear, we're not secondary. We've been made second in time. We're primary, and that's going to be important for to convince our judge to grant an injunction. Even though there's this thing going on. Our case is different than the federal case, although it's not contradictory, it's complementary. But we have different plaintiffs, different defendants, different causes of action. We're suing under the Texas Constitution and Texas election law. We have different theories, and we're seeking different relief. The relief we're seeking is to have this, the final bill, the bill declared unconstitutional on its face, which would help everybody, and as applied to these particular defendants. So the party's not involved at any level, just these individuals.
Right.
And we have 3 points. One, that no nominee should have to pay a final fee to be on the general election ballot. It's unconstitutional under our Texas Constitution. 2, failing that, the Secretary of State's advisory is ill-advised, and it should not be followed. It violates the very statute that she is seeking to enforce, and it should be thrown out. So that would help all of us by at least pushing back the time for compliance to the time of nomination instead of the time of filing. And then third, if we lose on those 2 points, it raises further constitutional issues under our Texas Constitution. And we should go back and review the new law as changed, as modified by the Secretary of State. So that's
If these 7 individuals are successful, to, I guess, the full degree they want to be successful, would it have the effect of only removing the fee portion of the bill or removing the bill altogether if it never happens?
Well, depends on which level we win.
Okay.
But if we win on the first thing we're seeking for, it all goes away.
Well, all, just to be precise, we're not talking about getting rid of the ballot access retention changes.
We're talking about 141.041.
Okay, so it would just be the fee section of the.
Fee/petition. Fee/petition requirements. And we do address the petition requirements of why that is not a reasonable alternative to finding a fee.
Agreed.
Thank you. What do you think the odds are of having some success, whether it be with item 1, 2, or 3?
I'm very optimistic. We got a great judge. Following in Harris County, we knew we were going to get a Democrat judge because that's all there is in Harris County.
Right.
And so we got a judge though that didn't come in the 2018 sweep. She came in 2016. And although she's a Democrat, she's very well suited for this. She's South Texas Law School grad, on the law review, graduated from math and went through Monday. I mean, she's bright. She gets this. And I looked at her document, and it's motor vehicle accident, HCAD tax protest, you know, this and that, this little stuff. I think she's going to eat this up.
Yeah. Kathy, what's her name?
Hawkins. Last name is Hawkins.
Kristen Hawkins. She's in the 11th, which is very important. That's the lowest number court in Harris County, which means it's the oldest court in Harris County. It's the 11th court created in the state of Texas. And there's sort of a mystique about it. You're on the
Assume you get, sorry, go ahead.
It's a district and criminal like the old.
No.
Assuming you do have success and you achieve injunctive relief, what is the likelihood that, would that be treated as precedent for other counties to repeat the same?
Not precedent in a binding legal sense,
Right.
but if it works here, it can work in other counties.
You could use
Yes,
that to
we
bolster
can
your
use it
case.
as a template. I call it a template.
Okay.
But one thing I want to say, there's been no coordination on our part with John, Oliver, anybody. And that's important to keep it that way.
Right.
I might have to talk to John about what he reports to Oliver about this. I would think if I was in Oliver's shoes, I might want to, when I'm asked about it, be able to say, this is the first I've heard about it.
Possible that happen.
Because we are not coordinated. There is no collusion.
Is Russia paying for it?
Yeah, but they're lawyers from the Ukraine.
I have a copy, but I'll let you look at it, but I want it back before you leave.
Or you won't leave the
I think there's,
Yeah, Kathy, I think I saw this in the forum too. I don't remember how the discussion ended, but, and if it's appropriate now, but the comment you made a minute ago about that it should not be followed. Do we need to be considering having people, come up for nomination at our conventions without having to pay these fees?
Okay, that's different. I'm telling people, file, what's the downside? What are you lost? File. We may win here, we may win there, you don't know what could happen. But if you want to file, and then at the conventions, it's totally up to the delegates. If they want to factor in at all the fact that you've paid the fee, or that you can't pay the fee, or that you've done this or you've done that, that's up to the delegates. But I just wouldn't hold back on filing because we don't know. One thing we do know, if you don't file, you won't be on the ballot. I already know that with certainty.
Is it not true too that the more people that file these types of lawsuits, the more noise is made, the more likely the individual suits are going to be successful?
Well, we didn't send out a press release because women, and we have ethical constraints as lawyers. We can't seek publicity.
Sure.
And a judge really doesn't want it. Doesn't want to see that they're being put in pressure wrong.
Gotcha.
And so that's why I say we're keeping it very low key. I have one audience, and that's the judge.
Right.
That's all I care about. Well, you all know about it, but this one trying this case on Facebook.
Right.
It's in that court, and it'll be a public hearing. If anybody wants to come, that's fine. But I wouldn't pack the courtroom, just things that seem to intimidation tactics, judges don't want it.
Kathy, I have a question on the mechanics of it. So our suit as the party, we're taking the state of Texas to court in the federal court. You are taking the state of Texas to court in the county court?
Yes, in the.
Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, in Harris County. And our defendants are Ruth Hughes, the Secretary of State, and then Lena Hidalgo, the county judge, Diane Troutman, the county clerk, all Democrats. Lena Hidalgo, I will point out, won a squeaker for county commissioner in Harris County by just a handful of votes. The number of votes that she won by was less than the number of votes our Libertarian candidate got. I think she will be particularly understanding and appreciative of having Libertarians on the ballot.
I think it's pretty genius to use Democrats to help us against the Republicans. I mean, put the duopoly to work for us.
We will have testimony, a lot more than you put in a petition. Testimony will be that in the legislature, this is a Republican bill. Republicans passed it. In the Senate, no Democrat voted for it. In the House, one did. It's probably confusing.
It's easy. You have
So this is what Republicans have done to us, and they should do it to us. They'll do it to the Democrats next time.
Yes.
We have an audience that's unable to hear the audio. Interested in what Kathy was saying, but unable to hear.
It's probably best if the audience
It's a
on
good thing.
Facebook couldn't hear.
Okay.
it shows the audio transmitting, and if they weren't able to hear, I mean, I don't have a second copy of it, so it is what it is, so. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was appropriate.
said, going back to the agenda, next up is lunch. Lunch was scheduled to 1 p.m. We are about 40 minutes ahead on getting to lunch. I don't know if we still want to break to 1 p.m. or if we want to break to an earlier time. I really don't have a strong preference. So if somebody wants to get a motion.
I move to continue. Keep running going.
Okay. Mike?
Ryan.
Second. All right, cool. So with that said, is there any objection to continue?
How about a short recess?
A short recess, how long?
10 minutes.
Oh, hold on. I heard 10 minutes. Is there a second to a 10 minutes? There's a second. Is there objection? There's objection.
I need 15, I gotta check on it.
Motion to amend to 15, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
Is there objection to the amendment?
Yeah, I object, that's too long. I know what, we won't get back here.
Okay. All in favor of the amendment, raise your hand. To change to 15.
15.
All opposed to the amendment? Amendment by- All right, continue. All in favor of the recess, raise your hand. All opposed? Let's go.
Less than 800 people.
You hear that, Ron's gone.
I got it.
All right. Up next, we have Rules Committee and our favorite rules committee here, Arthur Thomas.
We had an in-person meeting last month that went pretty well, and we're gonna do another one in January. I have a copy of the rules of the report here if anyone, well, the working document, if anyone wants to take a look. We're still obviously talking over everything. But what we spent most of our time talking about so far is the vacancies rule, to try to fix that. And we also have a tentative plan to send out our working document to county chairs at the end of December. Currently, we've talked about doing that just so they can see what we're working on, even if it's not a final state. So that's what we're doing. If anyone has any questions.
The vacancy, can you expound on that?
What's that?
You said you're working on the vacancy, where are you at on that?
Well, we sort of came up, our current pathway is we come up with a completely different rule that sort of tries to honor the spirit of what the current rule's trying to do. Because we understand there's a lot of people, significant amount of people that want to take the decision out of the hands of this body and put it more in the regions. We also see a problem with how it's currently done in the Senate District precinct whole mess. So we're trying to find the right balance between letting the regional areas do it, but making it a more transparent and involved process as best we can. I think we all realize there's no perfect way to handle it, and people are gonna have problems depending on where they're coming from, but we're trying to make it less compromised. I mean, I could read the first one. Yeah, I got a copy of everything if anyone wants to look at it.
You said you're gonna put out the, like, where you're at to the county chairs, did you say?
Yeah, that's our current plan, and at the end of December, we'll work on it for another couple months, and then just say, hey, this is what we're working on, just get feedback, if anyone has any strong questions, or say, hey, what about this, and we have to look at, that they can at least get some feedback. But it won't be, it's still a working document, so, the intention is not, this is a final thing that you already.
So if anybody in here has rules and stuff that they think needs to change, suggestions,
Oh, yeah.
they get it to you.
Yeah, we consider rules, like LPTexas.org. I think, I forget the count, but there's like, let me see. Yeah, there's 35 proposals that we're looking at right now. I don't know what the final number will be, but that's obviously, when we get to the convention day and have 4 hours, we're not gonna get to 35 proposals. So, we're also gonna try to prioritize the stuff at the top that we really want to get to. The vacancies will likely be one of those. And, we'll just do what we can.
I was just gonna, it seems it's already been addressed or determined on here for you, but I was gonna say, I can give a quick rundown of without getting into the minutia of it, the high detail of how we're planning on doing vacancies if our proposal passes at current, if you're interested.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kind of a
So-
little objection.
I'm sorry?
I have kind of a little objection.
You have an objection? Okay.
Well, it's kind of two proposals are being considered, in my mind, and you understand why.
Okay. Well, maybe the alternative proposal can be put forward by George, if you want to hear that. But I know the one that's been talked about the most recently, is instead of having these conventions like we are, and having to keep up with who precinct chairs are in order to organize these, and then have them get together and coordinate, and then have all the voting members be alerted and brought in to take a vote and credentialed, we are going to let each of the county parties that in any way touch the district get a vote. One county party, one vote. We are leaving it to the county parties in their own bylaws to decide how that vote takes place. It can be a vote of the executive committee, it can be a vote of the general membership. That's your bylaws. All we need is a process that is submitted to the state, and y'all can send us what you voted. A majority of the counties within that district need to elect somebody. And if the district is wholly contained within one county, it goes to the county executive committee. And so we're not doing a whole convention. The counties will be making those decisions.
That's the proposal you're working on currently. And George has a remote proposal?
Actually not. I kind of misspoke because I jumped to John. He actually covered it. That is what we're currently considering. My alternative, which I haven't completely dismissed, is to put it back in the seat of this body.
This body.
But,
can you speak to why you think that?
well, at the time, this was months ago, I was looking to get rid of the current procedure, and seeing nothing wrong if we cleaned up the old procedure, which was suggested at the last event. That was my thinking then. I'm still not completely divorced from that, but we've got some philosophical disagreement. I have some philosophical disagreement with some of the wording in the current vector.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
No, none of this is a big deal in my mind. I mean, it's not, I'm not gonna storm out of the party or anything. But nonetheless, I'm a libertarian, somebody's got to twist it.
Right. Of course.
I had a question for Arthur. You said the intent was to fix the vacancy problem. What does that mean, to fix the vacancy problem?
Well, most of us, I think, well, maybe not Eugene, I won't speak for Eugene. Think that the current vacancy rules are just not, they're broken. They just don't work well, and they were not thought out well or written well.
Like county level positions?
Vacancies on this body. How vacancies on this body are filled.
Yes.
How they're filled?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't.
Or how they're vacated?
No.
So, I'll give some background. Before our last convention, this body voted for replacements to this body. So the Senate districts didn't vote for their own representation after convention. So at convention, the Senate districts get to choose. Post-convention, they weren't allowed to choose. This body selected the replacements and open field vacancies. At the last convention, the rule was changed and allows Senate districts to hold conventions outside of our state convention to fill vacancies. And the way that rule was written has caused some confusion.
It's very burdensome to go through that process because you have 30-day notice, you have to get all those county chairs together.
Yeah, we did it in my district.
Yeah, it was a burden to do that. We could have done this in a week, and it took us a month and a half to get me on this body.
I think the current rules are too bureaucratic, too top-down, too pedantic, too technical, and too hard to even understand what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
So I applaud getting them streamlined and simplified. I also applaud getting rid of the precinct aspect of it. That one person who came to affiliate on precinct night didn't even come to the county convention, has never been seen or heard from again. That they should have so much weight in this process that is part of what slows it up. Trying to find people, you don't know where they are. So those two things, the rest of it I'll wait and see.
Any other questions regarding rules? All right, hearing none, we can move on to platform committee. Is there anyone here to give a platform report? I don't see Carrie.
Who's on that?
Ms. Billy, and I think that's it. That's in here. Oh, yeah, right here. Is there a report to give? I don't.
There's not to my knowledge, but I'm the secretary of the committee, so I'm happy to just.
Field questions.
We've been meeting since, I think, January monthly, with the exception of this last month. We did have to cancel for scheduling reasons. We've had only 2 new original submissions from our members, so those are currently being workshopped. We have nothing definitive yet, no actual language we're considering on those. As of right now, there is nothing. What was the word you used earlier? Nothing substantial that we are like actually going to be proposing at this point. Like I said, we do have 2 new ones that would be considered substantial, but we're not at a point now where any actual language is being considered. But hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have something.
If we want to submit something that we think platform can be brought to consider, how would we go about it?
I believe it's platform@lptexas.org.
Let me double check that, but I think you're right.
I know it's used internally, so.
Yeah, if it's what you use internally, it is. Okay.
Yeah, so platform.
Okay, thank you. And next up, we have Credentials Committee, Ms. Ford. I don't see. Yes.
We held our initial meeting, where Christy was elected chair and have not met since.
Convention Planning Committee, Mr. Valdivia.
You have an email from Becca.
Yes, I do. I'll pull up that report. Is there anyone here who is on the convention committee who wishes to give, I don't know, oral presentation along with this? If not, I can read it. I don't see anyone. So, the convention committee is, let me make this bigger. That's how we're the convention committee is hard at work, getting everything in order for McAllen 2020. Here are the quick updates. Registration is almost complete and pending 1 or 2 minor things needed on the back end. We should be going live with selling tickets on Monday, and they've actually reached out to me on this. They're having some technical difficulties with Nation Builder, but I think it's more that they're new to the system and don't know how to use it, and I just haven't had a chance to get in there and look and help them. So that should be happening soon. We are in talks with several speakers and VIPs, and we'll be announcing them once they're confirmed in the coming weeks. I know that with speakers, I'm going to speak to what I've heard. This is not coming from the committee. I know that last I heard, their plan was to slim down the speaker line a lot and really just go for the big events, the gala, maybe the dinner, that kind of thing. I don't know exactly what that number is, but that is the current direction they're taking for cost savings. As well as I know they've been poorly attended the breakout session we had. We will be contacting vendors and organizations regarding purchasing booth space at the convention. So if you have anyone that you think would be good to include in our list, please let us know. Thank you for giving all of us a chance to work with such a great committee. Lots coming in the next 2 weeks, so keep your eyes peeled. Tim and Becca and everyone else. So, yes.
Wasn't there some controversy about one of the speakers? I didn't see
Not
it.
that I'm aware of.
That's national, not.
All right. All right, cool. So those are that. It is now 11:06. So let me ask: do we want to go into the budget and kind of push through, or do we want to do a lunch? I'm seeing some push through motions go, so we will push. Yes.
The motion related to organizational structure change, can that be easily done in 5 minutes, do you think?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right. Cool. The only org structure change that has occurred is we changed in the development department from a structure of having functional people who do functions to regional people who do all the functions in smaller areas. Does that, where is Andrew? Oh, there we go. Does that describe, well?
Fair enough, yeah.
And do you remember the names of the new thing? Was it regional coordinator, right?
It's just, yeah, development coordinator. It was a fundraising coordinator and a recruiting coordinator. So like somebody's supposed to ask for money, somebody's supposed to get volunteers.
Yeah.
And by the time all the smoke cleared, I had 3 volunteers that wanted to help with development located in or near Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Metro, and DFW. And I don't, in my approach, I'm not distinguishing between asking for money and asking for time. I'm just asking people to get involved and what can they do and how do they want to plug in, and preferably both. So we adopted we just consolidated it under one development coordinator title that for our internal purposes would be, Northeast, Central, whatever. But as far as how they're just listed on the website as development coordinator.
Ms. Glass?
I move that we change the organizational structure in whatever way that Andrew, Emily, and John will agree upon.
All right.
Is there a chart? Point of information, is there a chart available for us to?
There was a chart back 2 terms ago. Right now, the chart is the website as it has. Yeah.
It is listed that way.
Whatever this changes into, could you email it to me? Because while there's no chart in the policy manual, I do try to keep track of all the positions in the policy manual.
Absolutely, I can do that.
It's pretty simple. You've got Andrew at the head and 3 of us equal underneath him that are divided geographically with the same title.
With that said, we have a motion. Is there objection to the motion? I hear no objection. Motion passes.
I want to go through one more gusto. I move that Whitney give her report now.
Okay. Is there any objection to moving to Whitney's report?
Good.
All right. Whitney.
Okay, I don't have anything formal. We have not had an LNC meeting since the last SLEC meeting. Our next meeting will be middle of November in Miami. Obviously, you're always invited to those public meetings. They're also live streamed. Just a couple quick things related, since we were talking about lawsuits today. The Libertarian Party is involved in a lawsuit against the FEC related to donations that are made as bequests in people's wills. And we had 3. They ruled against us in the original one, and we had 3 strong dissenting opinions written. And so with that, we appealed, and our appeal made the SCOTUS blog petition of the week. What he said. So anyway, for those who aren't familiar with that, basically someone leaves us money in their wills, and it is more than the annual limit allowed by the FEC. We can't touch it, except for that part. Unless, of course, we're using it for segregated funds or like a convention fund, a building fund, and I think the other may be a legislative fund, which our national party only has a building fund. So we don't enjoy the benefits of being able to put the money wherever like the other parties do. We need it for our general fund. So that's what we're challenging. And the issue, of course, is the FEC says, well, apparently dead people can still influence you and they can still fight you. So that's what we're fighting. Anyway, just want to let you know that is getting some attention. CNN picked up we did when they started the vape ban talk, we put out a t-shirt as sort of a campaign for people to sign petitions if they vape, to let our representatives know that they also vote. And that got picked up by CNN, and they reported on that campaign there, so that got a little bit of media attention. As of right now, we have, and you can see it on lp.org, elected libertarians, or you can just Google elected libertarians and you should get directed to our page where we have approximately 210 elected libertarians nationwide. That number will very quickly. A lot of these are local level races. Part of that is because there are no filing fees. That's something we need to be considering moving forward too. boards, water boards, emergency service districts, things like that. You know, we need people looking for those kind of races too. We also have people, seems like weekly, changing parties. You know, elected officials who are changing parties, so that's also very cool. Today, we are going to be, just so you know, at 4:30, I'll be on a conference call that's probably going to last all eternity for electing our bylaws committee members for national. So if you were one of the people who applied for that, today may be the day that you get put on that committee. I'm sorry. And then we still would have platform and credentials at some point. We'll probably elect those at our next in-person meeting. Convention, of course, as you know, will be in Memorial Weekend 2020 in Austin. We are running out of hotel rooms at this point. So if you plan to be there and stay on site, which I highly recommend, you're going to want to take advantage of that pretty quickly. It is already slated to be our biggest convention ever, just like the last one. So anyway, it'll be here, well, not here, but more here than it was before. So in Austin, obviously, we'd love for you guys to attend. I will be also putting a call out soon for volunteers for that event. For those of us on the convention committee, it's about 6 days that we're there working. We can use help on any of those days. So if you guys are interested at all in helping in any capacity, I'll be putting out a call for help with that soon. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a silent auction, which we had before. I'm hoping this one is even better because it's you know, at home for us. But the maybe the party, LP Texas, could come up with a basket or something that they want to do. I know one of our state affiliates is putting together a quilt that is made of T-shirts and convention bags. You know, like campaign T-shirts and stuff like that from over the years of putting together something like that. So you can be as creative as you want. Maybe think about some ideas for things you would like to donate to the silent auction at the convention. So that's all I have. Any questions?
I would also say, somewhat related to National Convention, for those who don't know, it is a tradition that Texas throws the biggest after party and a karaoke style party. If anyone wants to volunteer to participate in that setup,
I volunteers. I second that.
if anyone wants to volunteer to help with that, either with funding or equipment or any of that, that would be appreciated.
Yes, we'll definitely be doing that, but I have to say, I can't guarantee that it's going to be the after party this time. We may put it somewhere else, depending on if those organizers are willing.
Okay. Anyway, but that said, I see no one else was left.
Am I correct that we only have 2 items remaining on the agenda, and that is the budget and Joe Farm's presentation?
That is my understanding, yes.
I move to adjourn.
Okay, do you want to adjourn to 1?
I have a point of information here. That is, Joe, do we need to hear what you're going to say before we have our budget discussion or not?
Andrew, what do you think?
Yes.
I move we handle Joe's presentation one step above the budget presentation when we return from adjournment.
Okay.
Second.
Well, hold on. Before we get into this, maybe that would be a good thing for them to discuss and come back with an opinion on after lunch. I do believe we have a motion for lunch till
12:30.
Till 12:30. And is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Is there objection to that motion? Here, no objection. 12:30.
If you're leaving early, make sure you trade your name badges in, please.
Did the person missing the key get it?
No, it's still right here.
Alright, there's a red key carabiner with a black key on it. There you go.
Right here next to